Yes, what's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It is the first starting 11 prediction of the new season for Flag Day tomorrow against St Mirren. But there is only one place to start, and that is with Brendan Rodgers' comments at the pre match press conference yesterday. As some of you all know, we just uploaded the season preview on the channel. We recorded that on Thursday night, put it out yesterday, and of course, then Brendan Rodgers made those comments that have been brilliant. If we had the chance to discuss them in that preview show, so perfect timing from Brendan on that one. Suppose I should have held off until the pre-match press conference, but the timing didn't allow for that in terms of getting all the content squeezed in before the game on Sunday. So here is what Brendan Rodgers said. If you've been living under a rock for the past 24 hours or so, I'm sure you've already seen it. When asked about his future, he said he had a meeting with Dermot Desmond and Michael Nicholson in the summer to discuss his future. And he said, if it's just about maintaining, I'm not the type of manager that's good at maintaining anything. If it's just to maintain, I'm not the manager for Celtic. But to build and grow and push, then of course, I love being at Celtic. Now that's as clear a message as you're ever likely to hear from a manager. It's not even like a veiled response to try and like push a sort of coded message to the board. That is as clear as day. He also confirmed that the board haven't offered them a formal contract extension. So who knows where that's at and where the thinking is at on that. If the outcome of that meeting was that the board think, do you know what? We spent big money last summer and we feel like with Brendan here, we're not sure about spending that big money and whether we can sustain that over a longer period. Now again, I'm not saying that's particularly valid, but it might be where their head's at, and they could be sitting on their hands in terms of offering them a contract extension. I've already said this season, as this season goes on, we can't have this question mark go on and on through the 4, 5, 6 months halfway through the season. This is going to have to be settled one way or another at some stage, because if we're going to have a new manager as of next season, the way the media works, they're going to constantly be asking him and questioning him, and it's going to become a sideshow. So I think his future has to be decided at some point within the next 4 or 5 months. I think that needs to be clear for everybody. But to come back to his comments, he's clearly saying that if the board want to just coast and maintain where we're at and not push and not try and grow and not try and get better, then he won't be here. And I think what he's saying is that's not enough to fulfill him. He was keen to say that it's not about his ambition. He's not been arrogant to say that, well, the board don't match my ambition. My ambition's higher than theirs. What he's saying is he wants Celtic to be as good as they can be, and constantly try and get better. And if the strategy of the board seems to align with just trying to maintain where we're at and stay just ahead of Rangers, as always levelled at the board, and who can really argue that over the long term, then that's not enough for him, and he won't be here next season. He also said in the interview with Sky before the press conference, and reiterated it again in the pre-match presser, that he's clearly not doing enough to convince the board that we need players in. Again, that's a worrying comment. I don't see how there can be any debate about the fact that we need players, particularly in attacking areas. The squad is much weaker right now than it was at the end of last season. We've lost Nicholas Kuhn, who was a big player for us last season, who scored 21 goals, I think, in all competitions. I think it was high teens for assists as well, a huge player. We lost Kyogo and didn't replace him in January. There's lots of work to do. The situation with the wide players is dire, and we've got to get bodies in as quickly as possible. I think Brendan Rodgers yesterday made his position clear, and again, he is the only senior person from Celtic who is regularly accountable to answer questions asked of him by media, by journalists, by fan media who were there yesterday as well. No one from the board ever comes out to set any records straight, or tell you where things are at. So we have to take Brendan Rodgers at his word that he's had this meeting with the hierarchy. He is in the position where he wants to have assurances that Celtic are going to push forward and constantly try and grow and improve and get better. And obviously, because he's not been offered a formal contract extension, they're clearly not fully aligned on that just now. And looking at the backdrop of this summer transfer window, it does seem to suggest misalignment between the board and the manager. Now, I think that lies at the board's door. I think last season, despite the fact they might think they overpaid for Engels and Ida, possibly even Trusty as well, we did have a good season, despite the fact that we dropped off towards the end. We were a penalty shootout away from winning a treble. We made great progress in the Champions League. And I think Brendan Rodgers has done more than enough over his time here to show that he deserves backing. And while he's here, even if it is just for another 12 months, we should do everything we can to give him the best possible players on the pitch for Celtic. That's clear. His message is clear yesterday. We'll see how things develop over the next week or so. I will be at the press conference before the Aberdeen game next week as well, so we'll see if there's any developments before that. I'm sure these questions around his future and around recruitment are going to continue, certainly until the end of this summer transfer window and building up to the big game at Pittodrie, to the Champions League qualifier as well. So that will continue to rumble on, but for now we'll turn our attention to tomorrow's game against St Mirren, Flag Day at Celtic Park. Paul McStay will be there to unfurl the league flag. It's always a good atmosphere before the game. It's a good moment for the players and for the supporters to just acknowledge winning the title last season. But then it is down to business, and it's all about getting 3 points against St Mirren tomorrow. I know that there's not 100% excitement going into this game because of the backdrop of the transfer window and some things going on off the pitch. I see the board also. I think they gave the Green Brigade a 3-match suspended ban yesterday again, which I don't think helps anybody. It certainly doesn't help the mood around the place or the relationship between the fans and the board. But I think tomorrow, concentrating on the game, we've got to start well. That's big. If you think back to last season, we had a phenomenal start. I think we won 16 or 17 of the first 18 or 19 games, and we started like a house on fire. That's not just from minute one in the games, but that first couple of months of the season, nobody could get near us, and it allowed us to build up a really nice cushion. Now, who knows how things will go across the league this season? A lot of changes at Rangers, at Hearts, Aberdeen and Hibs are in good places as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the league unfolds this season. But for us, we've got to get as strong a start as possible, particularly given the backdrop, given that we need to get these players in before the transfer window closes. We can't have a negative start because that'll only heap the negativity on top of what is already there surrounding the questions in recruitment so far this summer. Now, St Mirren, obviously we played them 4 times last season. I think they always make life difficult for you. We did have 3 wins against them, and I think the common theme in most of those games was that the games were relatively close, but once again, in the last 15-20 minutes, we really showed our strength and pulled away. The 5-2 game at their place is one that stands out, where we brought some players off the bench that day and really just ran away from them and finished the game powerfully and won comfortably. They did have that 1-1 draw at Celtic Park on the final day of the season, where James Forrest snatched the last-minute equaliser. I think that done them out of European football as well. So we know what they're like. We know how Stephen Robinson sets his teams up. It will be difficult. They'll be physical. They'll try and contain us. They'll try and defend deep. But they do also offer a threat going forward as well. They've signed 11 players in the summer transfer window, so quite a high turnover of players for them. But for us, it's all about setting the tempo early doors, getting a good win, starting the season off in a really good manner, playing attacking football, and hopefully getting a really comfortable win to fill us full of confidence, lift the mood in the fan base, but also for the players to get off to a really confident start would be brilliant as well. So let's turn our attention now then to the starting 11. I think in goals, there's no doubt it will be Kasper Schmeichel. I know from a lot of the comments that I see whenever we talk about the goalkeeping department, some of you would like to see Sinisalo more often, but there's no doubt that Kasper is going to start. This will be his final season at the club. Will it be his final season as a professional footballer? We'll wait and see. But I think last season, yes, barring the mistake in the cup final, he was really, really good for us, and he will continue as a Celtic number 1. Back 4, Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, I'm going to go with Austin Trusty, and I expect to see a starting return to competitive football at Celtic Park for Kieran Tierney as well. So the big ones in there are Trusty or Scales, and I think right now it's got to be Austin Trusty. I'm not saying that I fully believe that he's the number one in that position going forward. I know there's loads of question marks from some of his performances last season. I just think he's ahead of Scales in my opinion. Tierney back, great to see him in the hoops tomorrow, back in competitive league action for the club. I think he'll be a huge player for us this season. He is one bright spot of the recruitment this summer. Getting him back at 27 years of age is a bit of a coup for the club. So I think if he can stay fit, he's going to be a massive player for us. You've seen some of his bits of quality throughout pre-season as well. I know he's only maybe been playing 45 minutes here or there, but top player and a really good time in his career in his peak years. Brilliant for us to have him back. In terms of the other side, Johnston Carter-Vickers haven't had too many minutes through pre-season. It might be a case of giving them 60, 65 and then bringing them off in the game. Simpson Pusey's not going to be ready and available. According to Brendan Rodgers yesterday, he's not had a full pre-season either, so I wonder when we'll see him. It might probably be 2 or 3 weeks until he settles in and gets some training time under his belt with the club before we actually see him play any minutes. Hasn't been confirmed yet by the club. Also, that deal, but Brendan Rodgers did effectively confirm it yesterday. So that's the back four I'm going with. Johnson, Carter-Vickers, Trusty and Tierney. In midfield, Callum McGregor will obviously captain the team. I expect it to be Hatate and Benjamin Negrin making his full competitive debut in front of the captain. I think Engels, it is a huge season for Arnie Engels, the club's record signing. I think he underwhelmed at times last season. There became this perception war about any time he had a decent game. There was loads of people out to say that he was absolutely amazing and he was the golden boy, and what a signing he is, what a steal it was. 11 million was actually a bargain. This is the type of hyperbole that goes on social media around Arnie Engels. Now, I think at times he did struggle, and I think you're looking for him to impact games more. He is young. You can see that he's got quality, but I think he needs to impose himself on games more, and I'd like to see that development from him this season. And the reason I'm going with McGregor, Hatate and Negrin is that's been the most common combination throughout pre-season. It's clear that Negrin, despite the fact we thought he could possibly play from the right-hand side when he arrived at the club, Brendan Rodgers looks like he's going to play him in that that advanced central midfield role. Now, he actually similar in stature to Matt O'Reilly, left-sided, quite tall, comfortable on the ball, great technical footballer. I'm really interested to see how he fits in, and I think I could be excited about him. I think he's got a lot of ability, and hopefully he hits the ground running. I think he'll get a start tomorrow against St Mirren. Front three, this is the area of the team that needs the most work. I can't quite believe that for the first game of this season, I'm going to tell you that I think Brendan Rodgers will start Yang on the right-hand side, Dyson on the left, and Adam Ida through the middle, because other than Dyson, who was a player of the year last season, he was incredible, scored 35 goals. Unbelievable season. Nobody could get near him. If he can maintain those levels, it will be absolutely remarkable this season. What a huge player for us, and let's hope we can hold on to him throughout the rest of the summer transfer window. But in terms of Yang on the right hand side, he is one who I wouldn't even say the jury's out on. I think most of us have decided that he's not going to be a long-term Celtic winger, certainly not a first choice one. I accept there is some people who think there's something there, but he's been at the club for 2 seasons now, and I am not convinced. He's certainly not as a starter. And when someone's been here that long, you see him coming off the bench in the cup final, and it looked like he was just totally overawed by the occasion and by the pressure of trying to win that cup final and get us over the line for a treble. I don't think he's got it at all. But right now, in the right-hand side, we've only got him, James Forrest, or Marco Tilio. Tilio is basically on the verge of an exit from Celtic to Rapid Vienna, I think it is. But we're blocking that because we don't have any other wide players. Such is the situation in that position. I think James Forrest, this stage of his career, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons, is better as an impact player from the bench, and I think that'll be the role that he'll play tomorrow. Like Engels, it's a massive season for Adam Ida. I said it in the preview show. He's got to do more. There's no doubt that Adam Ida is going to score goals for Celtic. It wouldn't surprise me to see him get another 20 plus this season, but you are found wanting more. You're found left wanting more from him. Whether it's his hold-up play, whether it's his all-round work rate, his desire, some of the first touches and the control when the ball goes up to him, and how he links the play, you do want more from him, and I think that's something that he has to work on. Again, he came in for a huge fee last summer, and he will expect, as you would, spending that amount of money on someone, that this is his chance to really prove that he's the first choice Celtic striker. He didn't really do it when Kyogo left. He had a wee spell where you thought he showed us a burst of goal scoring after the Villa game, and you thought this is his chance, and then Dyson went back through the middle, and he didn't really consolidate that place as truly his own. So we'll see if Yamada plays any part off the bench, but there's no doubt Ida has to do more, and I'm not convinced that he is at the level that we need to be the number one Celtic striker. So lots of question marks in that starting 11, as I say, particularly in the front three. That's who I think Brendan Rodgers will go with. Let's see if I can start with 11 from 11 on the first day of the season. That would be rare. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think will start in the key positions at centre half and midfield, and what do you think that front three will look like tomorrow? I'll see you after the game with the full-time reaction outside the ground. Thank you.